Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. All right, all the time when we're talking about the Saints, when we're trying to be on the sunny side of things, we talk about the fact that the Saints need to get younger and cheaper. That's been the chorus now for really over a year since they've tried to keep the band together with Pete Carmichael and with Kamara and Thomas and Ramchick and Demario Davis and Cam Jordan and Dennis Allen, and you're trying to kind of maintain all this, and everybody's getting a little bit older and things are getting further and further away from the glory days. You're going, okay, well, let's get younger and cheaper. Well, how do you do that? Well, you've got to hit on draft picks and you got to hit on drafted free agents. And one of the guys that the Saints have hit on in the last couple of years is Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed was a nobody at a Weber State, and the Saints brought him in, and man, he fast. He's real fast. And he has been a game-breaking player for them for the last couple of years. He was a first-team All-Pro returner last year. He made the Pro Bowl in his age 25 season, and the Saints said, okay, we're going to go ahead and make you a contract offer for the 2024 season, and they're paying him almost nothing for this season. You're talking about $985,000 that Rashid Shaheed is making. That's young, and that's cheap, and that's fantastic. But it's not sustainable. You're going to have to pay your really good players. And the Saints made the decision to do that over the weekend, signing Rashid Shaheed to a contract extension, 1 year and $5.2 million. It keeps him with New Orleans through the 2025 season. This, once again, is an excellent move by New Orleans. $5.2 million is not a ton of money, and 1 year is the minimum. So that's as good as you can do for a franchise that is created these long contracts and kicked cans down the road and found ways to convert salary into signing bonuses and do all these gymnastics. If you just make clean-cut contracts like this one work, things get a little easier. And Rashid Shaheed is still young. He's in his mid-20s, going to be 25 years old, and he's not going to break the bank. And he's a really good player. We've seen Rashid Shaheed over the last couple of years develop from just a guy who's fast to a guy who makes a few more plays than just getting up the field and blowing the top off of defenses. Last year, he made 46 catches, 716 yards, 5 touchdowns, and he made some plays that changed games. I think we all remember very memorably Derek Carr told him late in the season when they were trying to close a game out, just run. And Rashid Shaheed took off, and Carr hit him on a deep ball. And twice this past year, they hit Rashid Shaheed on big plays late in games on third downs to extend drives and help them milk the clock and win football games. His speed is still very much going to be in his arsenal next year and really through the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, I would think, because he's not that old. And so I think this is a fantastic sign. It's a fantastic job by New Orleans of identifying him, getting him into the organization, and making him a priority now through the 2025 season. And I say all of these things about Rashid Shaheed, the receiver, which is relevant because he's their number 2 receiver. He's also a kick returner. And 12 months ago, being a kick returner was like something that you figured out who could do it and you sent somebody back there. You might get a couple a year. Fine. Now, with the new rules, kick returning is very likely coming back into the NFL. And now you can put explosive players back there and really have an expectation that they can change the game in the kick return game. That's one of the first things I noticed. Now it's happened in the college game, but one of the first things I noticed when I started going to Saints games back in the late 2000s and then the mid-20 teens is that when I would go to LSU games, you saw a lot of kick returns. Then you'd go to Saints games, you never would see a kick return. The NFL basically did away with it because all the guys were so good, they could just boom it out of the back of the end zone. And that's kind of drifted down to the college level too now, and the kickers are good enough, they do it as well. So the NFL said, you know what, we're going to try to bring this back into the game. We're going to change the rules. We're going to move the coverage team up, and we're going to put guys near each other, and we're going to set up blocks, and we'll see if we can bring the return back into football. And now, when you offer Rashid Shaheed the $5.2 million extension for 2025, all of a sudden you realize you're paying that to your number 2 receiver, but also your kick returner. Also, potentially, your punt returner. So he fills different roles on your team that you're putting this money into. I think it's fantastic. There'll be a lot of NFL teams, I think, that pay someone to be their kick returner, a la Trenton Holiday. Trenton Holiday was not massively useful in Denver or Houston outside of the kick return or punt return game. But teams prioritized that, so they paid him. Well, now you've got Rashid Shaheed, who you're really paying to be your number 2 receiver. This is not an exorbitant amount of money to pay your number 2 receiver. In fact, it's very cheap. But he's also filling another roster spot. This is the kind of thing the Saints have to do. They've got to find versatile players that are pretty young and cheap. It's the only way to flip this thing around. And there's really not much better example than Rashid Shaheed. You've got your draft picks locked up from the last couple of years, and they're on contracts that are pre-negotiated. You don't really have a lot of wiggle room with what you're going to pay your draft picks. They're going to get what the market dictates draft picks get from that round and at that level. Now, when you got to go to arbitration time and you got to go towards time where you got to pay guys a little bit more down the line, like you got to make that happen and get the extensions done. With undrafted guys, you've got a little bit more wiggle room, and there's wiggle room here. This is, I think, a great move for New Orleans and an exciting player. It's hard for me to get super excited about some of the older guys that I rattled off when we started this segment. But this is a guy, along with Chris Olave, along with Brian Brzee, along with Taliesin Fuanga, along with Jordan Howden and Paulson Adebo and Alante Taylor, maybe A.T. Perry, maybe Kendre Miller. Like there are some young pieces here that need to be the next wave, and this guy looks like he's going to be one. So I think this is a very, very good sign for New Orleans. They get him agreed to a deal before camp cranks up. Look, Jordan, you're a black and gold man, a Who Dat fan from the core. What do you think about Rashid Shaheed and collecting a little extra pocket change?
I mean, I think he's special, and I think it's a smart move to go ahead. Well, that means the team is banking on him to have a breakout season. So they're not beating the can down the road like they usually do, and just going ahead and get him an extra year on his contract. So I just think it could also mean he's not going to do as much returning because now he's locked in to be that type of guy.
I don't know about that. With these new rules, I think that's part of the deal now. Like you can make plays. I expect to see Taysom Hill back there. I expect to see Rashid Shaheed back there. I think you got to put some real playmakers back there because they've now ushered that back into the game. It's not nearly as dangerous as it once was.
Yeah.
When you're talking about stationary coverage teams that are pretty close to you not getting a full run and start. Like I think he's going to be back there.
I mean, I would assume so, but then it's also, what if our number 2 receiver gets hurt on a punt or kick return? Then it's kind of like A.T. Perry, Olave, and Bub Means maybe. I really couldn't tell you who's after A.T. Perry.
Equiminius St. Brown they brought in?
No, I hope he doesn't even make the roster at this point. But it's just like he's a little too important now. This is what this move means to me. It means that the team is buying into Shaheed and they're moving forward with Olave and Shaheed as the 1 and 2 dynamic.
I think it's fair. I think your point is fair. I will also I slightly disagree. I think that they're going to want him back there, but I think what we can both agree on is that let's see it for 3 weeks. Let's see what this return game looks like.
Yeah.
And if it feels significantly safer, and maybe even more importantly, if it feels more so that you can create a big play,
game changer,
then you're going to need to do it. The Saints need every big play they can get.
Oh yeah.
Based on, we all think the offense is going to be new. We all think the offense is going to look better. We all think that they're going to be improved on that side of the ball with creativity and all these kinds of things. But that's just a hope. Rashid Shaheed is a game changer. We already know that. Yeah. So if we can get him back there and get him catching some kickoffs and making some real plays, setting up way better field position, that's something I think you're going to have to do.
Oh, no, I want it. It's just I don't want to be, a Week 7 game against, the Giants. I'm just naming the team. And then Shaheed goes out there to catch a kick and just gets obliterated. And now we're out there with Olave, Bub Means, and Taysom Hill. Like, it's just like,
that's a bleak picture.
Yeah, it's very bleak. So, yeah.
Hopefully that's not the case. But I think this is a good move for New Orleans, and I think that they need to continue to do things like this if they're going to kind of dig themselves out of this hole. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.